Despite soaring COVID-19 numbers, politicians across the country have pushed to maintain in-person learning. President himself has recently said that schools should remain open. A lot of parents feel the same way. Let me bring in now the chair-elect of the American Academy of Pediatrics Council on School Health, Dr. Sara Bode. Dr. Bode, thank you for being here. I guess let me start with you focus on this. You pay attention to this. You have been studying this throughout the pandemic when it comes to schools. Have you seen anything in this current spike that indicates that schools are a major contributor to the spike we're seeing in COVID numbers across the country?
So what we see is what we've known from the pandemic all along is that the rate of COVID in schools reflects that of the community. So as we get more cases in the community, of course, some of those students are going to come to school and test positive for COVID, but attending school in person itself has not driven up the rate of COVID in the community. So what we see is that school is one of the safer places that kids can be during this time.
One of the safer places, a lot of attention being paid to what's happening in Chicago right now with kids out of school there. I think it's the fourth straight day. The teachers union saying it's not safe, not enough protocols in place. Can you, as someone who studies this, who has been studying this, what constitutes a safe school when it comes to COVID right now?
Well, we know from last year we studied these mitigation measures, and the ones that are the most important, first and foremost, of course, is vaccination. So for students, we now have the vaccine for 5 and up. So really some opportunities for students to get vaccinated at school and in their communities. The second is universal masking. So having everyone, regardless of whether you're vaccinated or not, be wearing a mask while you're at school. And then schools have put all these protocols in place as far as the sanitation, the ventilation, looking at distancing as much as possible during high-risk activities. So coming to school is a place that you can come and be in a controlled environment and maintain that safety. We saw a spike in COVID cases over break, right, when students went home, and now families were gathering. You're in environments where it's just not as structured, you don't have your mask on, you're gathering, and so that really has been the driver of this surge.
Driver of the surge there. Okay, so kind of a fill-in-the-blank question here, Dr. Bode. Schools or classroom should close and go to remote learning if blank. I guess what are the criteria in your mind that needs to be happening in that school or in that classroom that you would then say, you know what, we need to go to remote?
Well, in my mind, it's really not about health and safety. I serve as a medical consultant for our school district locally here, Columbus City Schools, just under 50,000 students. We meet every single day to review staffing and what we have as far as transportation and teacher so that we know we can have a quality in-person learning environment. If you are seeing an outbreak in a particular classroom, of course, you could have that small cohort of kids move to remote learning for a short period of time and then come back. But I think what we want to avoid is those really blanket decisions that are across the entire district to close. And I'm not sure there is a threshold that would make me do that across the large district. I think we would really have to follow the data and the science.
One more thing here. You said it's that we have a crisis, a mental health, a pediatric mental health crisis. What do you mean by this?
Well, it's a state of emergency right now. We've seen through the pandemic everyone's stressed, and kids have suffered even more so often by being isolated, alone, home, cut off from their networks and safety nets. And so there is a mental health crisis in kids. We're seeing more kids having significant mental health disease and just higher stress levels. So as kids got back to in-person learning, they struggled. We took a long time to get back that positive school culture and climate and just that connection back to those adults they love to be with at school and learn from. And so a pivot back to remote learning for a long period of time is really going to take us in the wrong direction. We need to maintain this in-person learning as much as we can and be supporting kids at school with their counselors, with their connection to the adults that they have these relationships with so that their social emotional health is protected.
Dr. Sara Bode, we appreciate your time, your expertise, and your voice here as a part of this conversation as so many kids are still trying to get back in school after the holiday. Thank you so much.
Thank you for having me.
Well, hey there, GMA fans. Robin Roberts here. Thanks for checking out our YouTube channel. Lots of great stuff here. So go on, click the subscribe button right over here to get more of awesome videos and content from GMA every day, anytime. We thank you for watching, and we'll see you in the morning on GMA.